There's a time where I haven't seen my son in a few weeks, and I was being told I wasn't going to see him ever again. And so when I saw him after a few weeks, and he was just born, so I was extremely sad. And I remember when I finally got him, I remember I was like lifting him up, and I was just like all my love, everything I had was going towards him, and I was convicted in that moment, seriously, and I had to.
All right, so we're recording here. You can start the recording. All right, this is interview with Nick, aka In the Cut. Take one. Hey Nick, how's it going?
Good, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How old are you?
I'm 34.
34 years old?
I'll be 35 in July, in a couple months.
Okay. How many kids do you have?
One.
One kid? How old is he?
He'll be 12 in October.
Okay. What do you do for a living?
I'm a barber.
You're a barber?
Yeah.
Do you like your job?
It's pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you like about it?
Oh, the thing I like most, I always say, like, cutting hair can be very, it's the same routine for the most part, each client, but it's the interactions I like the most with people. A lot of people got different lives, so like you hear things you may have never heard unless you're a barber or something, right? So I would say the interactions are the thing I like the most. Yeah.
Marital status?
Single. Yeah, never divorced or anything, just single, yeah.
Single. I want to ask you how you and your child's mother met.
Yeah, eh?
Yeah, I do. I want to know.
That's okay. So we met. So originally, I knew one of her brothers. We used to hang out a bit. We got to know each other a little bit more. So I met him through a friend, obviously, and one day he was having a birthday, a little gathering at his house. And he called me and my buddy, asking if we want to go and have some cake or whatever. But me and my friend at the time were already like under the influence or whatever, so we're not trying to. And I don't drink, for the record. I don't do certain things anymore. But so at this time though, we had quite a few drinks, and so we're like, I'm not trying to be around family. But he's like, no, my parents not here. It's just my siblings, so come and have some cake or whatever. So we went, and so they have quite a big family. So she was amongst, she was one of the many siblings that were at the house. So I met them all there, and yeah, without going into too much detail, that would be part of her story. But all to say is that's where we first saw each other. Is at her brother's house.
How was your relationship with her?
At the time?
Right now?
It has its good and bad days. We're not together. We haven't been together since before my son was even born. So, co-parenting with someone has its difficulties or complications or whatever you want to say. So yeah, some days are good in the sense where there's just nothing going on, right? No issue. But sometimes there's issues, So, but if I had to generalize it, I don't know. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. But it could be better. I pray that it could be a little bit more. I don't know. I don't want to say civil, like it's always not civil, but it could definitely use work for sure.
What do you find is the most difficult part about co-parenting in your experience?
Co-parenting is you're trying to raise a child with someone you're not with, that perhaps there's past, I don't want to say trauma, but like there's issues, right? And if one person perhaps is maybe holding grudges or whatever the case, that can manifest itself in such ways or something. Some parents can try to use their kids as leverage to get something out of you or to hopes that you'll bend to whatever they want to happen. Maybe at times one parent is telling or teaching or whatever their kid one way, and then you're trying to teach them a different way or a different type of rules or different type of morals or whatever you want to say. That can cause some issues. if you're co-parenting, especially with someone who, you know, their past was, like, even before not like me knowing, let's say my son's mom, maybe her past was not so easy. So, you know, so her growing up a certain way, and then, you know, perhaps not being happy with her, I don't know, you know, being single mom, I don't know, whatever, you know, there's so many things that can be bothering us, and yeah, sometimes it just, it comes out, you know, and it can make your life difficult. And I guess one more thing is everyone has their own idea of, I don't know, what's right, what's wrong, or maybe what kind of school you want your kid to go to, you know, should it be public, should it be Catholic, if one is going to a certain type of church and the other one in a different, or whatever, and, you know, you don't agree with this, and you know, you can worry about, oh frig, I hope my kid doesn't, you know, the other parent could be thinking this too, because they think, you know, a lot of us think we're right, and whatever. So, you know, I could be hoping, I hope my son doesn't pick this up from her. I'm sure she's thinking that of me and my side too, or whatever. But, you know, and at times you can be so, I don't want to say worried, like it's not like I'm so worried for my son about that, but I don't know, some things you just hope that they don't, I'm so far from perfect. So there's, you know, and I picked up things from both my mom and my dad. So I just hope that he doesn't pick the negative things off of me and the negative things off her, right? I don't want to, she's not, it's not like she's the issue and I'm just some perfect person, whatever. We both have our differences.
Hi, hope you're enjoying this video. If you like this content, be sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and let us know what you think in the comments below. That's it for now. Enjoy the rest of the video. So how do you go about like resolving some of those things?
Something I really don't like when God reminds me to do unto, like love others as yourself too, right? Or like do unto others as you would have kind of done to you. So there's some times where, like, let's say maybe there's kind of like a favor she's asking, or maybe she wants to see my son or something on the time where it should have been my day, right? And but it's just like what I would want her to do if I were to ask the same thing is, if something's coming up for me to have my son, let's say there's a family thing, whatever. And so I'm like, okay, you can have him on this day. And then so, of course, you're going to automatically maybe assume that when it's your turn, that of course she'll do the same because you did or him or her that favor. But when they don't do that, and now, you know, your child can't go to this thing that your whole family's going to go to or whatever, and then you're just like, all right, so next time I'm not gonna you know, do her that favor when she asks me for a favor again. But then when that time comes up, the Lord's always just like, no, do to her like that you'd want her to do to you as well, right? So even though that, I don't want to say this happens all the time. Again, I don't want to paint anyone in a bad picture when they can't, you know, be here to defend themselves or whatever. But all to say is, it's frustrating when maybe I feel like I'm doing a lot of favors and they never get returned back, you know? Sometimes I don't know if it's maybe entitled, but it's not even entitled. Sometimes, again, it's just like, let's say in that type of scenario, you just hope that, okay, so when something comes up, let's say the family thing, that, you know, she'd be more than willing to do that favor, because you know, he was with her and the family on my days and I missed out days, whatever, but it doesn't always work out like that. But I guess, so the thing on what to do is, again, even though it may be hard, just as long as it's not an unhealthy thing, like it's not like he's going somewhere that's like unsafe, whatever. Again, it's family stuff, and I really wish I could be with him on my days. But if I see that he enjoys himself there, doing whatever he's doing, and even though it's taken away from my time, again, it's not like it happens all the time, but when it does, like, yeah, just loving people in the same way that you'd want them to love or do to you, you know, even if they never do that back, that's not what Jesus said, you know, just only do to others if they're going to do the same to you, you know. Even he says, even like the sinners or the pagan or whatever, like, do that, right? They only give money where they know someone's going to give them back, right? But giving things away, whether it be your time, your money, whatever, not expecting anything in return, which is very difficult at times. But I find that and sometimes I don't do it right away. Sometimes I'll be like, you know, try and fight against it, but then I'll get reminded, and then I might message whatever back, like, all right, you could have them, you know, even though there might have been some issue, you know, and then he'll always remind me that, whatever, God will always remind me about that. Sometimes I can listen to it right away. Other times I'm, you know, fighting against it 'cause, you know, it's my day and I deserve to have them and da-da-da. But it's just like when he reminds me of that, it's just kind of like, all right. And so that's one thing, at least, that I find helps.
You've had to make your adjustments, and I'm sure there's been a lot of like growth and development, like through that whole process. Have you seen that growth in yourself? And if you have, like, can you tell us how you've grown?
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if it's necessarily just the co-parenting or being like just being a father, but like even just walking with the, not that I walk perfectly with the Lord, but like I've known the Lord now for about 11 and a half, 12 years or so. So I just like, just that over the years, he'll teach you and show you a lot. Being a parent, like I said, brought out a lot of things in me, which let's say I didn't know that would come out of me, let's say, until man, I don't want to, like, something I noticed is that I don't know if I kind of got off track earlier, but what I was going to say earlier is that I noticed that when my son became a certain age where he has his own will, you know, where like, you know, you tell him, you know, don't do this and he does it, or, you know, just little things like that, and where he, you know, starts saying no to you or whatever. When they become an age like that, because when you're a parent to a child, it's like, in a way, I don't want to say like I'm his God at all, but I'm the one at the moment that is teaching them right from wrong. Don't do this, or if you do this, you're gonna get in trouble, you know, or that, you know, like it's you're some sort of like it's a big role, right? And the temptation to like lording over someone, but in not like the most healthy way sometimes, right? Yeah, I don't know. I would just say like even just on the Christian walk alone, and like having a kid can, certain things come up in life where it kind of like boosts, or like certain situations come up where now you have to work out that muscle, that spiritual muscle that perhaps, you know, you read in the Bible not to I mean, something that the Lord, just for any little example, something that the Lord has shown me, you know, where it says, do not love father or mother or anyone more than me, or else you cannot be my disciple. There's a time where I haven't seen my son in a few weeks, and I was being told I wasn't going to see him ever again. And so when I saw him after a few weeks, and he was just born, you know, so I was extremely sad. And I remember when I finally got him, I remember I was like lifting him up, and I was just like all my love, everything I had was going towards him. And I was convicted in that moment, seriously. And I had to put him down on the couch for a minute, and I had to drop to my knees and like repent, because, you know, God's like, we're to love God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to just love our neighbor as ourselves. I'm not to love my neighbor with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength, right? But in that moment, I was loving my son with everything I had, and he had struck me with conviction. I had to literally get down on the ground, and that was interesting, because like you read that, and then you think like, how could I love anything more than my Creator, right? The one who saved me from eternity, apart from all that stuff, right? So just like, again, there's instances where like God will just like show you stuff. And so whether it just be co-parenting or just like living as an adult in this world, there's just certain things that I've learned. I guess one of them is also like denial of self, you know, being a little bit more sacrificial, I guess, in a way, or like, again, like giving up your will at times for someone else's good, or whatever you want to say, right? Where it's just like, sometimes you want your way to be your way, the highway, but I'm not a perfect, all-knowing God, right? So even though I can think I'm right in that moment, maybe oftentimes maybe I'm not. So sometimes it takes a lot of like, denial of self, I'll say, to be even just like a decent human being for the world, but especially even as a parent. I guess even at times something that I saw that could be beneficial and help is almost like becoming like a child in a way, like with my son, you know, not always being this, I'm your father and only your father, and maybe that's the way it should be, but like, because I don't know, maybe I haven't been taught the right way, or maybe it is the right way, I don't know. But all I say is like, you know, I'm always his father, and if there's something that he crosses the line, you know, there's certain punishment, there's certain things, but I'm also like, nothing's too serious where, you know, like we laugh, we goof around. Again, I'll get on his level and I'll make little kid jokes just because it's going to make him, you know, laugh or happy, which, you know, again, I didn't get too much, let's say, from certain parents, whatever. But, and again, sometimes, like a lot of times, like even like when we're going to go out or what we're going to do in a day, there'll be some days I'm like, what do you want to do? And we'll do literally whatever he wants to do. Wherever he wants to go eat, we're going to go eat there. If he wants to go shoot some basketball or kick the soccer ball or, I don't know, go to I don't know, just do whatever. Maybe, we should get groceries, but maybe we'll do that tomorrow, because I don't know, like, but some days, of course, we do what has to be done or what I want to do, let's say, but just sometimes just giving up that and just, I don't know.
Has that been a hard balance to strike? Like fathering and like also being a friend with your son?
I don't know. So to me, it comes very easy, but there's times where you could see like, okay, maybe I was too much of a friend, where maybe they get a little bit your kid could be a little bit too comfortable, maybe say jokes that when you said it to him, and then when they say it back, and you're just like, and then you want to give them trouble, and they're like, well, you said it to me, and I'm like, oh shoot, yeah, you're right. Like, but you shouldn't be talking like that to your father, right? Like, there needs to be some, like, I'm not saying he doesn't respect me, but there's certain moments where it's just like, anyway. So sometimes, you can't be just a friend to your kid. And like, you can always be a father or a parent, but I feel like, I believe that, I don't know, every kid needs more than just like someone who like tells them right from wrong. And I don't know, just, there's some parents that they just tell their kid, like, whatever, go get me some water, or go get this, or go pass me the remote, or like, it's like, you can do a lot, like, I'm not like that with my son. Now, sometimes I get him to help me out, but for the most part, again, just as a Christian, we're to be the one as servants, right? So whether you're my son or my friend, again, not that I'm a perfect servant, I display this 100% of my life, but in the back of my mind, or, God is always reminding me at times, where it's just like, yeah, like, in a way, like, serve your son as well. Of course, there's sometimes where you're teaching them to serve, so he could serve me at times, but there's a lot of times where I'm just like, I'm here for him. And I'm serving him. I don't force him to, I haven't even like showed him how to cook or anything yet. Cause I want to cook for him. I want to, I don't even get him to clean dishes yet. And he's going to be 12 cause I want to do that for him. I don't know, I'm not saying that's wrong. It's not wrong. Maybe I should have done that a while ago, but, yeah, I guess, again, I feel like being a parent, I'm sure there's other, specifics, being someone who knows and is trying to follow the Lord as best as they can. Just so many things in life God is gonna use to grow you, whether it be co-parenting as a parent or just as a person, because it says He disciplines those who He loves. So there's a lot of times where like the Lord Himself is disciplining me and showing me like, yo, you're doing this wrong, do it like this, or you're doing this wrong, you need to pray more so you can figure out what to do, so. Whether it be parenting or just as a fellow church member or a brother or a coworker or whatever. So honestly, like, for me, I would say the thing that's been the most obvious since I've been a parent is the things that come out in me that I didn't know that maybe I had in me or whatever, issues I may have had that I wouldn't have known if I wasn't a parent.
Have you noticed your son? I mean, you mentioned the jokes before, but have you noticed like him taking after you in terms of like how you're living your life in positive ways?
Yeah. Even there's a lot of things about him. He's actually already like better or more of a better person than me in some areas of life where, like how he is with others. Like with some of his like schoolmates, and like he's quick to, like there's a situation where when he was in grade 5, there was grade 6s picking on a grade 4. And so he like, and no one was sticking up for the kid in grade 4. Now, as a person, I was like, now, again, I would teach him, like, I don't know, help out anyone who you can or blah, blah, blah. But even when I wasn't a Christian when I was a kid. I came to know the Lord when I was like 22 or 23. But, I see him like, risking his physical safety for some kid he barely knows, but he sees a young kid getting picked on. And so he's stepping in the middle and handling things the way he knows best. There's times where even maybe the way I might say something or tell a joke or make a comment about, sometimes I could be a little, I don't want to say judgy, but I like to, if I'm just people watching, let's say, and just for something to do, I can pick a flaw out of someone and just maybe, I don't want to say make fun of it, but just kind of have fun with it a little bit, right? And sometimes he'll be like, Dad, you shouldn't be talking like that. I'm like, you're right. You're totally right. There's times where it's cool where we actually had a little conversation with a Muslim person who was outside, like he was at a table and he was giving out things. So he was there to promote his religion or whatever. And so we went over there for a totally different reason, whatever. Nothing to argue. Anyways, long story, but all to say is, even when me and him were having a dialogue, because we have different beliefs, my son was coming in. And see, I don't know as much as the Old Testament as I should, to say the very least. But I guess on his mom's side of the family, they maybe read more of that or something, where I'm more in the New Testament a little bit, at least in knowledge. Anyways, so there were some things that were coming up that I didn't really know I didn't know how to answer it really too well. But my son goes, "Hey Dad, do you remember but in the story with so and so, and this is what God said in the burning bush?" I'm just like, "Oh shoot, yeah, you're so I show him as best as I can, but I'm definitely extremely faulty, and so yeah, in a lot of areas I feel like he's even better than me. He's got wisdom now, even when he was a 3 or 4 year old, that perhaps even I've only gained even a couple years ago. Just one quick example. I think he was in daycare, so not even kindergarten yet. And we're driving to my house. I just picked him up from kindergarten. We're driving, and out of nowhere he goes, he's in the back seat. We're driving at a red light, and he goes, "Hey Dad, when I get older, I don't think I want to have too many friends." And so I'm like, why would you say that? He's like, well, I just think that the more friends you have, the more easier it is to get into trouble. And there's little things that he said throughout the years. Now I don't have the best memory, so I do forget a lot. But there's been times where he says these little nuggets, and I'm just like, where do you get that from? So he's just, I don't know. God is good, obviously. So I feel like my son may be one of his things, maybe one of his gifts, maybe a wisdom that God has given him. So again, there's just certain things that God has downloaded in him, apparently, yeah, he's more gifted at already. More gifted than me in certain areas, but I guess the importance of church and community, and again, I don't force him that he has to believe this or that, but he knows the truth so far, whatever. So I don't know if he's going to grow up, and I hope that God will keep him and give him his spirit and so on and so forth. But as for now, yeah, it seems like he knows that, I don't know, let's say church is important, family is important, respecting anyone who's elder than you, whether it be a pastor, teacher, next door neighbor, whoever.
Can you tell me some desires you have for him, as he grows into a man?
My main thing that I want for him is what I want, honestly, for one of the main things that's on my mind at all times, to be honest, is I just want my son and every other human being to really genuinely know God, Jesus Christ. That's my main thing. I don't. Again, there's certain areas where he's even smarter than me. He's better at math than me already. He's better. So I trust that by God's grace, if things keep going forward and whatever, and he might even have, again, not that I don't put any pressure on yet to be, I don't know, go to school for this many years or get this kind of job or make this kind that's not even we don't even really talk about it at all. But I could care less about how much money he has in his bank. Even when he was really young, even though he's already young, but I guess I started serious conversations when he was very small, saying I don't even care if go wherever you really believe God wants you to go. If he wants you to work at McDonald's because he knows you're going to make an impact amongst whoever's there, do that, and do that for the glory of God. If you're going to be a lawyer, whatever. So my main thing is that. And then I guess just being someone that lives his way, that shows that he honors and respects his family, his father and mother, and then add the fear in there, but towards God, right? So I just hope that it becomes, just a wise, knowledgeable young man or whatever man that again that lives in such a way where again I don't expect perfection whatsoever, but the intent is to just live in a way that makes your parents look as good as possible, where no one can be like, oh, look at let's say he's doing something crazy, and some people may be like, oh, I wonder like who raised him, I wonder his dad might, like, again, not that that's everyone's thought, but I just hope that, and because that's how I was, and that was not even taught to me, but I just would like him to be someone where he brings respect to himself, to his family, and yeah, like I said, it just not just knows God, but knows and serves Him, and and all that stuff. That's really my main thing, because all the positive things in life are in vain if they're not, I believe, anyways, that are not in the Lord's will for yourself, right? So yeah, and being a man of prayer, I'll add that in there. A man of prayer, one that like reads His word, like wants to read the word and get to know. Yeah, just everything. I don't know. I guess I'm just kind of hooked on God at this point right now. At least in thought, I'm extremely imperfect in living it out, but my desire is, I want that for myself big time, and I really want that for my son.
All right, I'm gonna ask you one last question. Do you have any words of encouragement for men raising a child as a co-parent?
I mean, being a barber, I cut pretty much only men's hair. There's the odd female. So I definitely hear a lot of people's story where like their situation is like way worse than mine, right? And so like, even I've noticed like people can tell you a lot of great, they mean well by trying to tell you comforting things. And sometimes you can be like, man, you don't know my story. Like you don't know whatever their situation is, right? Again, I don't want to come off this overly religious or whatever you want to say. But again, that's just, you're asking me personally. So this is just what comes to my mind, is that a lot of things, like we can all benefit like extremely, whatever the issue is, whether it be co-parenting, or just being a father, even if you're just a single father, and like for whatever reason, maybe that's hard for someone, right? Because however they grew up, just whatever they're going through, right? We're all going through different things, whatever. Again, it might sound really easy and cliche, but just like casting your cares to the Lord, I'm very specific. I believe in Jesus Christ, and so because there's so much that we can't control. There's so much things that are happening, that are gonna happen, that are gonna continue happening, perhaps, maybe, that we have no power to stop it. I can't. Let's say if the issue is with the person you have a kid with, you can't control that person. You can't cast a spell or you do something that totally changes the way and they're just gonna start living like this just the way you want, right? Or whatever the situation. There's so much stuff that we have no control over, but we have. I heard this quote, and I hope it's not too far off of what God would want, but it says, "Pray as if it's up to God, but work as if it's up to you." So whatever God has already shown you, I'm hoping that let's say if God has shown you anything, just be obedient in that. And it's going to be hard at times, because again, it's going to go against what you want or what you think is right. And maybe it actually might be like something that even doesn't even make sense to the normal person, right? Where everyone might think you're crazy for doing this. But if you know that God has really called you to either do something or stop doing this, and not just praying that you get like, we don't just go to Him for a genie, but honestly, I do believe that by giving things to Him, praying to Him, being obedient to what He has already told you, showed you, I believe even having some sort of community, preferably, in my opinion, ones that are people that are going to point you towards the things of God, because every person can have their own way that they see things. We all grew up in different ways, so like I might be totally believing that my opinion is right on something. Having some sort of accountability in your life is awesome, because we're not always right, and we might think we are. But so if you have people around your life that you can be open with, talk to, I guess that's so far that's not encouragement, but I do find when you have those things, you can get encouraged by those things. And like God uses people, right? Like God could have perhaps done a lot of things to save us, let's say, from our sins, right? Maybe he didn't have to do anything. Maybe he could have just sprinkled some, I don't know, but he chose to send a human being as God, right? And even after that, he sends now his disciples to go. So like he uses people. So it's good to, I really do believe that being around people, preferably people that, know God, love God, will point you towards the things of God, will be extremely beneficial. Praying to the Lord, of course. Because I can say like, I could definitely like, let's say, try and say some encouraging things like, oh, don't worry, like everything's gonna be all right. Just keep being the great guy that you are, and everything will work out. And perhaps that might, some people's stories are like that. But again, I've had so many discussions with so many different people where that's not the case. And most of the people that I'm speaking about, they definitely, they're not in relationship with the Lord, right? It could be a big factor, and I believe it is. So, but my encouragement, like I do believe, my encouragement for sure is that like through Christ, we can get through a lot. He can give us peace that surpasses all understanding. It says that if we, what does it say somewhere, and I don't know if it's Philippians or somewhere, give thanks in all things, and in prayer and supplication. I think in prayer and supplication or something, like give thanks, and you will experience the peace that surpasses all understanding. So that's that can be encouraging, right? So knowing that if you obey God's word in that way, he promises you peace. So that could be, so if someone's going through a certain situation and the last thing that they're feeling is peace or any type of joy or any type of calmness or something, say everything, just start thanking the Lord for what you might not know. You might not even can't come up with the things like, what am I going to thank him for? Everything's just trash right now. Well, it says, but be grateful, be thankful in all things, right? In all times, and give thanks. Sorry. So just do it, and that's not my promise. It's what the word, and I can have my own testimony and share how something happened in my life, and it was not good. And on my way, driving really fast somewhere, thinking that the worst was going to take place, that verse was down. Like the Lord had reminded me of that verse, so I started thanking him, not knowing how to give thanks for it. I was literally like, Lord, I don't know how to thank you in this because I don't see anything to be thankful for. This is crazy what's going on. But your word says to thank you, so I give thanks to you, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know, I promise you, this is like one of the main times that I really even have a memory of this verse being put into practice. And I really did, like everything went, like I was in the bus lane, passing, like I was going very fast, like trying to rush to something that's happening. But as soon as I started thanking God, I had this peace. I literally slowed down. I went in the normal lane and everything was okay. It wasn't as bad as whatever. So there could not be too many encouraging things to say to someone when there's no God in your life. Or even take encouragement knowing that like things could even be much worse than what they already are for you or for myself. But God has already has only allowed so much for a certain reason. And he says that he doesn't give us, what does it say? He doesn't give us more than we can handle or whatever. And he always provides a way out, is what he says. So if you are not even seeking the one who, grants you the way out, and then there's not much encouragement. Like you're gonna have to try and figure it out on your own, and maybe you're gonna have to go to different people trying to find what just makes sense to you. But I don't know if I have encouragement, but I encourage people to whatever it is they're going through, whether it be being a single father or whatever, is I just encourage you to go to the Lord, and the Lord will give you all the encouragement you need for real. Like seriously. And there's certain areas in my life where my flesh wants to fight that, because I'll figure it out on my own, or I don't know, whatever. But even having this conversation is reminding me, it's like, you don't have it all. Like you can't do this on your own, even if it seems like not even the hardest task. I can get, maybe it's only time will, I don't know, heal all things, or just with time, things will get better. Yeah, sometimes, yeah, but sometimes they stay the same, or sometimes they even get worse. But God can really do great things. And again, even being around people, you hear other people's testimonies of what God could do, and that's encouraging. So until the time where God really intervenes, let's say in your situation, you can have a little bit of hope there when you speak with other people and you hear how God made things better or whatever the situation was, right? I just believe, just stay true to whatever you know is right, what God has already shown you. Just keep being obedient as hard as it may be, and as much as it may suck. And I believe that God will see you through. Not that you'll just figure things out and things will be better, but through Christ, I do believe a lot of things. And it'll benefit our children as well. You know, this is a thing for fathers. Therefore, we're talking about father and child situation, right? So going to God will bring blessings to even your own children, you know? So it's just like, it's not only just for you, it's for your child. And no matter, let's say if the issue is with, let's say the biggest issue truly is with the other parent, by you being that man of God, since we're talking about fathers, will extremely benefit you and your child. And again, things are very spiritual too. And it might even though you're the person you used to be with or whatever the situation is, may not even see you being the godly person that you're being. But again, God sees it, and he can change things that we cannot. So I don't know if that's even encouraging to people, but that's all I got, and because that's all I can lean on. You know, there is cool wisdom out there, and like you can hear a lot of good talks on podcasts or whatever, people giving their advice, and it can sound legit or whatever. But when God has already proven Himself that He can do all things and make all things new, even just within yourself. Again, because He really only promises you. It says in Christ we are new creations. He doesn't say because I'm in Christ, my son's mom's going to be a new creation, or my mom or my dad, or just whoever the issue may be, right? So it's just like, it's with us that God can change. So yeah, I don't even know if that answers that, but that's just what's on my mind with that. I don't know, what do you think about that?
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, thank you for watching that video. If you enjoyed, make sure to give us a thumbs up, subscribe, and let us know what you thought in the comments below. Your opinion's important to us. That's it for now. See you next time. Peace.